Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is for Music 163 through Music 168. We're working on two group pieces right now, Sea Mist in the Blue Book on page 74 and Chasing the Blues on page 78. We've started these in class already, but I just want to give you some ideas on how to practice on your own. At the end of this video, I'll play them all the way through so you can practice with it at a reasonable tempo. But these little breakdowns might be useful for you. So the first thing I do when I look at a piece of music, I know it's very exciting to want to jump in and learn the notes. But if you can discipline yourself to just take a step back and view what's there, look for similar patterns, look for similar shapes or similar passages, that might save you a lot of time and you'll get a big bang for your buck there in your time investment, and your learning will be a lot more secure. So if I take a brief look at this piece, Sea Mist, hopefully you can see that up close. I look at sections, I look at phrasings, I look at similar patterns. If I really do a study of this, the first 8 measures are repeated again on the next section. This section on the next page, section B, is new material, and then it comes back and repeats section A. And then at the very end, there's what we'd call a coda. That's different too. So if I quickly sketch the format, it'll look like this. Section A, it repeats again, so AA. Then there's a B section on the next page. Then it goes back to A, and then there's a little coda. So if I learn one section A, that's value for 3 times, right, in the piece. So if I study A, B, and C, I'm going to have the piece. It might feel a little disjointed when you work it on that way, but when you go to put it together maybe at the end of your practice session or maybe later on in the week, it will really hold together much better. And it'll save you a lot of time instead of learning one section and thinking you have to go through each section like with a fine-tooth comb. You do on each part, but if the parts repeat, that could save you a lot of time. Another thing that I do when I look at a shape, say for instance the left hand, I'm not sure how clear the video is, but if I look at the left hand parts and you see the notes C, E, G, and then it repeats that a few times. Then it goes to F, A, C, F, A flat C, D, F, A, G, B, D, and back to C, E, G. It does that the same in the left hand for the next section. It's section A repeated. But I might do something like this. I might play the notes to get the notes in my hands fast. 1, I would first clap the rhythm. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and this is in 3/4. But to get them in my hands quickly, I might play them as blocks. The whole measure is a block. And when I can do that proficiently, then I would play it as written. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 I would do the same for the B section. Block, 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 and then you're back home to A. So hopefully that might be a quick way to learn it. I did that rather rapidly on the video, but you can get the idea. We've done it in class a few times. With the right hand, if you're looking at melody lines, so of course you would clap the rhythm 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1 and 2. So the pattern really is a dotted quarter note. Dot means what? Overtime pay, time and a half. So it's a quarter note plus half of a quarter note, which is an eighth note. So it gets 1 beat and the first half of beat 2. So 1 and 2 and 3 and then it's followed by 3 eighth notes. That rhythmic pattern stays the same throughout. So that's a good thing, right? It's not varying too much. But the notes are a little tricky. It's starting to move you out of the 5-finger position. Let me put this down a little bit so you can see the keyboard. So if I look at notes, and I sort of mixed it in with that same idea of playing shapes. So when I look at this, it's really the thumb moving down. So really what I wanted to concentrate was the first three measures. If you can see the thumb descending chromatically like that, means next note, each note, stepwise, but with half steps, the very next note. That might be useful as a roadmap for you, or a hand position foothold, or handhold, I should say. So that might be better for you. This is a little tricky. When I get to the next section, you have to bring the thumb over, and then to 5 there to set you up to go there. The more you can do under one hand position, the less confusing it is. Sometimes we vary that fingering for certain sounds or strengths, but if you can do more under one hand position, that'll really clear things up for your playing, so you can spend more time on the beauty of the music. When I look at the B section, there's the pickup notes at the bottom of the page. Same rhythms, except for this measure, that happens on B3, and then move your hand. And then it starts again. So with that said, we can jump to the bottom here, the coda. If you look at the coda, sorry if some of that cut out on the video, but that's very confusing to see different clefs, to see octave signs, and different types of fingerings. If you really look at that part, the last line, you'll see that it's just 3 notes. C, A, and G, 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 C, A, and G. I don't know if you can see that all the way. Sorry, can't get it all the way. But that'll give you an idea. So a quick learn would be a block, another block, practice moving over in a block, block, block. The last one has a little variety in fingering. It's 1, 3, 2, so you can get to the octave, and then way down to the octave. So a quick way to get this in your hands where it's secure would be do something like that. And you can make up games for yourself, so you come over, got the idea? So that could be useful when you go to play it. It is pretty fun to go that far on the keyboard. So enjoy the crossover. Okay, that's enough said. I'll come back and play that piece at the very end for you. Let's take a look at, there was one more thing I wanted to say. The articulation, the way the notes are played. Here, this piece is slurred, big, long legato lines. It also has pedaling markings. Be careful. I would try to practice it first without pedal, so you can see exactly how beautiful your hands are making the piece, and then just add the pedal as a very light kind of finishing or varnish on the top of it. And again, when you lift up these little carrots that go up, or little seismic things, that's when you lift your pedal. So again, if you want a clean line, you don't dip your paintbrush all the way into the paint can, just a tiny little dab will do it. Because if it's too pedally, then you won't be able to hear the changes, and it'll sound blurred. And we're looking for clarity. Okay, enough said. Let's move on to the next piece. Chasing the Blues. Again, we want to analyze this piece. It's a study in a boogie-woogie bass line. They come in a variety, all kinds of boogie, all kinds of fun little patterns you can do with the left hand. But this is a basic one, and it's a good one. So it's really worth studying. But again, as I like to do, I like to analyze a piece just to save us some time so we really know where we're going. So if I look at this piece, it's a little bit longer. The first section actually goes all the way to measure 16. So we'll just call that section A as a 16-bar section. Section B is a little different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's an 8-bar section. And then dies al coda, dal segno, means we go back to the sign, and the sign is back here. So we repeat the A section again all the way to here, and then it jumps to a coda, which is only six measure coda. So the form of the piece, I know I did that pretty quickly, would be A, B, let me show you this a little closer. A 16 bars, B 8 bars, A repeats 16 bars, and then your coda, which is 6 bars. So if you really learn the A section, you've got already the second half of the piece, and the coda section is only 6 bars. So a good way to plan would be to maybe work on, oh, I don't know, 4 measures at a time in the A section, maybe 4 measures at a time, or 2 measures at a time in the B section, and then work on the coda. That might be enough. Maybe you don't have time to put it all together yet, but you will maybe the next day or a few days down into the week of your practice. So when I look at this piece, I want to study the left hand. Again, I like to look at shapes. So that's the basic shape. It's up 5 notes, 5, 2, 1, 2, 5. And then it does that again, and then it jumps up the same pattern and then back down. Typical blues pattern, 1, 4, and then up to 5. So 2 times with the pattern to 4, back to 1, 5, 4, 1, 1. I did that really fast. So here's the first one. There's one shape. It repeats again. It gets you to measure 4. On measure 5, we have a new pattern like that. 7 goes back to 1. On measure 9, it goes up to 5. And then on measure 11, it goes back to the 4, which you played earlier, and then back to 1. So that's a really fast way to get it into your hands. If you were going to play it in time, it would sound like this. I'm going to start on the section measure. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's that. With the right hand, you still have, it's basically those 5 notes, right? So you can kind of play that as a shape. When you look at measure 4, similar 3 notes, but it just moves to an E flat. So I don't have to move my hand that much. I can cover the whole 8 measures. And then when I go to measure 8, so that way my hand can understand where I have to go. That's too fast, but that gives you an idea. When you look at the B section, starting at measure 16, you can just practice the left-hand chords. It's the same chord, it's the same type of chord. It's a dominant 7th chord. So it's really this pattern. You might practice that in a variety of ways, backwards and forwards, but that's basically what it is. That seems to hang a lot of people up, that spacing. When I look at measure 22, I just add another note, and then I'm back at the coda again. It repeats. So with that in line, practice that. And then the right hand, again, you might have to write all the notes in. That's fine. But then again, I might take it as a shape. It might sound funny as a cluster to your ear, but in retrospect, that's going to get you to the hand shape faster. And the next one is similar in shape, and then it's just separates and repeats. The coda section, I'll jump down to 25. This, of course, would go back to section A, but if you go where it says coda up here on the second page, you would jump down to here. This is very similar. It's really the last. Instead of worrying about each note, I would practice that as a chord. So stack them vertically so it gets into your hands faster. And then you will play it like that. And then down an octave. Okay, that was pretty down and dirty. I think it might be useful for you to just hear me play the pieces and you can practice with those. So here we go, Sea Mist. 1 and 2 and 3 and... You might play with more pedal. I just wanted to hear it a little cleaner, a little, I can always add pedal later, but to see what the hands can do on their own. So hopefully that's useful. Play it over and over. Maybe just play the right hand with that. Maybe just play the left hand with it. And when you get more confident, you can play both hands. Okay, let's move on. Chasing the Blues. Here's your example of it. Con spirito. It doesn't really tell you a tempo, does it? It just gives you a feeling, spirited. So you can vary. This would be an acceptable tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, hopefully that's useful. Sorry this video went so long. Hopefully you can play with it and get some value out of it. Thank you.